Bodybuilding has been around for over 100 years, but it really exploded in the 1970s thanks to Arnold Schwarzenegger. But after he became the world's most famous bodybuilder, a movie star, and governor of California, he admitted he did not do it naturally. He said he actually used steroids in order to get gigantic muscles. Since then, people have been doing all kinds of bizarre things in order to increase their muscle size. And in many cases, this has gone horribly wrong. I'm Charlie, and today we're going to look at people who have the oddest muscles. But before we jump into it, why not subscribe and press the notification bell? Egyptian Popeye. This guy's name is Mustafa Ismail, but he's better known in his home country as the Egyptian Popeye. He has the world record for the biggest biceps. But many in the bodybuilding community say he did not do this naturally. They're very out of the ordinary. Ismail says he's done it totally naturally, but many don't believe him. Because of this, the Guinness Book of World Records removed him from their website. Recently, he went on Japanese TV to try and clear his name. A synthol and implant test did come back negative, but many say his muscles show telltale signs of synthol use. First off, his lower arms aren't that big, and also his muscles jut out at both sides, not just one. Synthol is a mix of alcohol and oil. This causes muscles to tense up and harden. They then balloon to a big size, giving the impression that you've worked out a lot. Whether Ismail did this naturally or not, his muscles sure do look strange. Valdaire Synthol. You may think that if you used synthol, then you'd be very ashamed of it. But that is not the case for everyone, especially one man named Valdaire Synthol who goes by the nickname Valdaire Synthol. This guy is 48 years old and from Brazil. He's made a name for himself because of his gigantic muscles. The veins in his forearms look ridiculously big, and his entire body is swollen up with gigantic muscles. This guy does work out in the gym, but that's not how he got these muscles. In 2013, he decided to experiment with synthol. This made him look like someone from another world. This has gained him a lot of fame, and he's now Instagram famous in Brazil and around the world. Hey, at least he's being honest about what he does. But many doctors warn that if he continues, this could cause health issues. Synthol can be very bad for your muscles, and some people have actually had to have amputations because of excessive synthol use. Alejandro Ramos Martinez. Most of the people on this list have tried to get gigantic muscles, but not this man from Peru. In 2017, this man went diving for fish, but he surfaced too quickly. This caused him to suffer the bends, which is what happens if you surface too quickly while diving. This has led to his chest and arms being inflated. He's also gained more than 4 stone because of this. But what exactly is inside his muscles? Well, it's nitrogen air. His error was that he rose through the water way too fast. This caused the nitrogen in his blood to form enormous bubbles. This has left him with decompression sickness and also a lot of pain. His symptoms also include swollen joints, itching skin, brain damage, paralysis, headaches, coughs, dizziness, nausea, and decompression sickness. But frankly, Alejandro is lucky to be alive. Ascending too fast while scuba diving can sometimes cause divers to lose their lives. He's now being given oxygen treatments in a pressurized chamber, and right now about 30% of the nitrogen in his body has been drained. He now endures quite a lot of pain and difficulty while walking, and he also has serious hypertension. Many divers use dive computers or dive tables to tell them how fast they can ascend. But Alejandro did not do this, and that's why he now has the bends. Let's all hope that he gets better as soon as possible. Gregg Valentino. Gregg Valentino is one of the world's most famous bodybuilders. He became famous after a documentary was made about him. That documentary was aptly named The Man Whose Arms Exploded. That is because that's exactly what happened to Gregg. We've already covered how some bodybuilders use steroids and others use synthol. But Gregg made the poor decision of using both at the same time. This made Gregg's arms very big, too big in fact. His biceps measured 27 inches. That was the same size as his waist at the time. He was only 5'5", meaning he was pretty short, skinny, but with gigantic biceps. Eventually, after his arms got too big, they popped. He's now very controversial in the bodybuilding community, and many don't like him. They say he made bodybuilding into some kind of joke or freak show. Brazilian Hulk. We all love movies featuring the Hulk on the silver screen. But what if you walked down a street in Brazil and saw a real-life Hulk? Well, you just might if you ran into Romário Alves from Brazil. He proudly calls himself the Brazilian Hulk. He used to be a pretty slim guy who enjoyed working out. But he was not a professional bodybuilder. He had a busy job as a security guard, so he couldn't work on his muscles all the time. So instead, he turned to Synthol. He injected Synthol for many years, creating gigantic muscles. However, after a few years, his biceps became infected. He was very close to having them amputated. The doctors told him they would need to take off both of his arms. That's because his muscles had turned to rock. In the end, they decided not to do this and instead simply cut his muscles out. But he still goes to the gym and works out, and also calls himself the Brazilian Hulk to this day. He's since become very popular on Instagram and YouTube, and sometimes even paints himself green. Nasser El Sunbaty. Looking at this guy's head with his circular glasses, he looks kind of nerdy. But this is one case where the head does not match the body. That is because he's one of the biggest bodybuilders of all time. In bodybuilding circles, he's nicknamed the Professor. That's because he would always wear thick-rimmed glasses. And he had university degrees in history, political science, and sociology. In the 90s, he was one of the world's most famous bodybuilders, weighing around 340 pounds. But for his height, this was double the weight he should be. But in 2013, he passed away at the age of 47 in his sleep. He was visiting Cairo in Egypt, but he had breathing problems. Many say this was because of his gigantic muscles. He's still a legend in the world of bodybuilding, but I think it's safe to say this is a case of bodybuilders taking it way too far. Iranian Hulk. This man is known as Sajjad Gharibi, but he's better known as the Hulk of Iran. He's 6'2", which is taller than many bodybuilders on this list. But his arms are ridiculously big. Just look at this picture of him holding a can of soda. Some say this guy got his gigantic muscles from non-natural means. But frankly, I don't have any information on that, as he's never mentioned it before. He is super famous in Iran and very big on social media. He's known to be a big fan of boxing and MMA, but I don't know who would go up against him. Also, the Brazilian Hulk that we saw before said he would rip off the Iranian Hulk's head. But looking at the size of these two fellas, I'd put my money on the Iranian Hulk. And if you didn't already think this guy was pretty cool, he's now apparently going off to fight IS. If that doesn't scare them, I don't know what will. Zzzz. Now we're going to look at a guy who's not just a bodybuilder, but also a YouTube OG. Many years back, Zzzz was a staple of the YouTube fitness community. His name was Aziz Shafershin. He's a Russian-Australian bodybuilder who got a lot of subscribers back in the day. In his videos, he said his gains were totally natural. He often vlogged himself working out and also gave workout tips to his subscribers. But in 2011, he went on a trip to Thailand where this all changed. While there on vacation, he went into a sauna and had a heart attack. He was taken to a local hospital, but he could not be revived by doctors. This caused him to pass away, and many say this was because he used steroids. Despite him saying he's au naturel, many in the bodybuilding community do not believe this one bit. His followers were very sad when his passing was announced on Facebook. And when this happened, many in the YouTube fitness community paid tribute to Zzzz. Frankly, whether he was natural or not, I feel seriously bad for what happened to this guy. Nicole Bass. Most of the bodybuilders on this list are male, but here we have one woman with crazy big muscles. Nicole was a pro wrestler in ECW and WWE, but before she turned to wrestling, she was a professional bodybuilder. She was even bigger than many of her male counterparts. She weighed around 250 pounds and was 6'2". But many say that Nicole used steroids. This was to try and keep up with her male counterparts. This also caused her to have a very masculine look despite being a woman. In 2006, she was admitted to hospital with pancreatitis. It's believed this was brought on by steroid use. In 2011, when she was 52, she had a stroke and had to go to hospital once again. Doctors said she was mentally incapacitated, and eventually she was taken off life support and sadly passed on. And it's believed this was caused by some steroid use. Some people get way too obsessed with building up muscles and their physique. So much so that they ignore their health, which is what going to the gym should be all about. But now it's time to make your voice heard. Who had the oddest muscles on this list? Vote in the poll in the top right corner. If you want some more amazing videos, then check out my second channel. But as always, thank you for watching. There are some more videos you may like on screen right now. Leave a like if you enjoyed, and if you haven't already, what are you waiting for? Subscribe to Top 10s.